Oh, hi, Daria. How are
Hi.
you? Awesome. So, if you're watching us live, thanks for tuning in. If you are watching on the replay, thank you so much. Feel free to type in the comments. Let us know where you're watching from and if you have any questions for Daria. So, if you haven't seen our past videos, we've been doing them weekly. And is this our third or fourth one?
I think it's the fourth.
Fourth. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's our fourth video, and I can tell you a little bit. So in our first video, we talked a little bit more about Daria, how'd you get into this, kind of the history of it, and talking a little bit more generally about functional nutrition. And then in the next videos, we also talked about, we shared some recipes, shared some things that you can make at home with what you have. Um, and I really liked the one where you were in the kitchen and sharing that. And I tried to type in the comments what all the ingredients were. So that's something that we shared. And then how'd it go, Daria? Were you able to find it?
I
Yeah.
did.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. Okay. Great. And then today, what we're going to do is we're actually talking about business, the business of functional nutrition. And when I first posed this to you, Daria, you said, "Well, that's your topic," and I thought, not really. My topic is marketing, but marketing is important to business, and the reason I want to bring up business is because you're the business owner. So you're the business owner, and I know that there are other people who are doing their business around nutrition or functional nutrition. A lot of people in healthcare who are not on the front lines, but who are doing healthcare, and they're transitioning, right? So we're in this new normal. We're in the middle of COVID-19. So, um, what what does your business look like? I guess that's the first question. What's business like for you?
Well, my training has been more to have a telehealth sort of business with the nutrition consulting. Of course, it has impacted my hands-on work with body work a lot. But as far as nutrition consulting, that's quite simple to do in this format that we have going right here. So um, yeah, it's just most of the forms that a person has to fill out or can be done online, and it's pretty streamlined, I think.
Nice. So
Yeah,
it's just business as usual for you.
pretty much. Except, networking is my primary, has been my primary way of finding new clients, and that's all been done virtually now too. And that's, I don't know, that's a little bit different.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's talk about that because we were just in a virtual or online networking, and it is tricky. It's very different, but what are some things you can speak to on that?
I attended one last week where there was opportunity to get into breakouts, and I think that's a really effective process for networking because you get to know somebody more like you would one on one, just chatting in person. And so I really like that. But I think it's important just to show up at these things, if for no other reason than you get to get dressed up and get out of your sweats and feel like
Put
you're
some makeup on.
participating in life.
Participating in life. Yeah, definitely.
Keep those social networks going. So I mean, I've said before, I'm fortunate in that I'm not completely dependent on my own income to survive. So I really feel for people who are like desperately trying to keep a brick and mortar business going,
Yeah,
or have team to pay, things like that. Like that's, yeah, that would be way more pressure. I
right.
don't have a lot of pressure for myself. thank God.
Yeah. You don't have a lot of pressure. I remember last time, I think it was last time, we were talking. You, I asked you what your day was like so far, and you were like, I don't know, it was like 2 or 3 hours of really just gentle easing into your day. And I just love that, Daria. I mean, I think I have had moments like that, but otherwise I feel like I'm pretty much like thrown in, like there's always some fire to put out, right? Like so that's not your sacred fire. That's like oh my gosh, we made an error on this. We've got to do this. There's a new promotion happening, or so for us there's a lot of moving parts. And so it's nice that you're a solopreneur, right? So you're not working together with a whole big team or anything like that, and that you don't have to rely on that business for your income, right? So it's more of you get to serve the people who exactly you want to serve.
Right.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, and then pretty much, I think that we talked about this, that it's been through networking that they've been showing up for you, right?
For the most part, yeah.
Yeah.
I have to have a sip of water. I've got a frog for some reason.
Yeah. Um, and definitely in networking, I like your point that having the breakout rooms, I have used those before in our networking groups. And I think if I can set this up for next week too, so it's a little bit longer. That might work well, but it's a little tricky if it's just 1 hour and then we're breaking up and not everybody gets to meet everybody. We even had a couple people who started on the call and then had really, really tough either reception or internet service, and so they couldn't actually stay on. So that's something you don't run into when you're just live, right? So if you're live, you never have to deal with the connectivity issues or the tech, right? The tech issues.
Yeah, right.
And so just kind of getting around that for people and helping them navigate it. Or I think somebody didn't want to be on camera because of their background or something like that. And I mean, there's always going to be reasons to not show up, but I think your point is well taken that just showing up is a huge deal. And I mean, like showing up, being on camera, you got dressed this morning. You wore a beautiful necklace. What is that?
I think it's just glass, but what's cool about it is it's reversible.
Oh, wait, so is it the same on the other side or is it different? Purple.
It's purple on one side and red on this side.
Oh, that's very cool.
What you're wearing. I have the little red dots. We got red today.
You could have gone either way. You could have gone purple today. You could have gone red.
Purplish.
Yeah. Just on your mood. You can change it in the middle of the show today. Yep. I don't know.
You're so cute.
So, okay. So you don't have to rely on this for your business. You said for the most part, it's through networking. What are some other sources of how you get your clients or how they find out about you?
Well, I mean, we've talked about my website, which is in sore need of an overhaul, but I have gotten a client or two from that.
Okay.
And I do have a list. Oh my God, I hate to admit to this stuff in public.
This was not meant to be uncomfortable. So if you don't feel like sharing, you don't have to share. You don't have to share. I meant for it to be to me, marketing is fun. So do you have a list? Okay.
I have a list. And I'm actually in I have the rough draft of an email I'm going to send out today.
Oh, cool. See?
Yeah. And I put a new blog on my site. So what was it about? It was about snacking during COVID-19. So there's a recipe there if anybody wants to check it out.
Here, and I can put it up on the screen. Is it just DariaHowell.com?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to put that up on the screen. And you have a new blog article.
Yeah.
And so that has a recipe. That's always good. And keep going. What else?
So, and then I think I may have mentioned that I was invited to be a contributor for the Conscious Evolution Journal, which is a new online magazine.
Okay.
And so I have just submitted my article for their next issue, which I'm not entirely sure. I think maybe June it comes out, in May or June. Anyway, so it's so each of those journals, each issue has a theme, and this theme is discipline. Yeah, discipline. So my
Okay.
discipline. So my focus, of course, is in relation to nutrition and lifestyle, and how discipline is, it's a good thing.
Awesome. Did
And there's
I do that
correct
right? Can you see it on the screen? It says Conscious
journal.
Evolution Journal. Is that right?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And so you have something that's going to be in their next publication.
Mm-hmm.
And do you want to give us a little preview of what it's about, or no? We just want to go look it up.
What the journal's about?
No, what your article?
My article, well, because I was assigned that this
Oh, we're assigned. Okay.
discipline, right?
Yeah.
Discipline. So it's about how discipline works for our benefit. It's not a dirty word. It's not, because I think, yes, speaking of business and my particular business, I think a lot of people don't want to talk to me because they're afraid of what they're going to be asked to give up, or, they know that they have habits that they shouldn't be indulging in, but they cling to them, and they don't want anybody to say, "Oh, this is contributing to the health issues you have."
They'll say, no, I want to hang on to my sugar. Do not touch my sugar.
Or whatever it is. So it's kind of looking at that a little bit, and then and of course you can throw all the logic in the world at a person's sore spots, and it doesn't do any good until they're really ready to make a shift. So I'm asking people to also look to their why, okay, what really is the most important thing? Is it the Cheetos? Is it the Oreos? Or are you really invested in having your body serve you for the long haul so that you can keep bringing your work out into the world? So that's my viewpoint.
I love it. Well, and I don't have the same connotation with discipline that it's like the bad word. I don't know where that comes from. I think discipline is necessary. I mean, it's like if you don't have discipline, you will not have a business. If you don't have discipline, you will not have good health, right? If you don't have discipline, I mean, it's like you have to have it. So I feel like you got to embrace how you get there, how you get to discipline. So maybe that's something that we can talk about too, as it relates to nutrition and business and marketing, and not just discipline. But my question would be you're talking about how to help people work around the blocks that they have. So help people work around what is preventing them to get to what they really want, right? So in my world, that's really talking about influence and talking about influence in a good way. Marketing for good, that's what I do. So I really think of it like, all of that, the positive aspects of how you can help somebody influence their own behaviors to achieve the goals that they want to have or say that they want to have, right? So, and one of the things that you mentioned as a way of doing this is having people look at their why. So I love that. What are some other tips or tricks you have up your sleeve that you want to share with people?
Well, I think anybody on, on a self-growth path is going to be willing to ask questions of themselves. So like if you have a behavior that you know is sabotaging your health goals, it might be worthwhile just to really check in and ask, why am I clinging to this? Where did it originate? Sometimes there's a whole history in, like, when we were kids, what a specific food meant to us, or the way a parent treated us, or whatever it is, to just really be in a place of inquiry about it. And I mean, sometimes just that's enough to like soothe your brain, soothe your nervous system enough that you can start taking steps in a different direction. So my MO is usually to like work with a person, helping them to make those inquiries, and then to take the next little step they can in the right direction. There's, sometimes a lot of hand-holding that needs to happen for a person to make those sort of changes, especially if they've been lifelong habits.
I love it. I'm taking notes.
I see that.
I'm mostly taking notes and putting them on the screen, because sometimes people are not really able to put the sound on. And so just in case they're watching this and, they maybe heard the beginning, or they just, don't have a chance to turn on the volume, want to have people see what's coming up and see what the conversation's about. So I like what you said. You said you help a person make those inquiries. I like that it's really an exploration. It's not like the third degree, right? It's and I really like that about you. So that's why, we have these conversations too. It's also a way of showing how you do things. And for me, in marketing, I'm really wanting to show the best aspects of my clients, but also how deeply people can work with you, right? So I'm showing how people work with you, Daria, right? So this is something that's very interesting, is there's kind of a release of good, bad, or like judgment, right? It's more about, what, like you said, what did this food mean to us? Where did this come from? What's the source of this? Let's investigate. You're almost like this detective for them, right?
I'm a detective, yes.
You're the food detective. I'm putting it on the screen for fun. Food detective. Yes.
An insightful interventionist.
Ooh.
Yeah. Detective.
Ooh, I love it. I'm going to put that up too.
People also have to realize that nobody has all the answers, right? So it's always a process of exploration. Finding out what's going to work for them and their life, their instances, their history. So it's always sort of an experiment.
I think that this should be your new title. Insightful interventionist. It's so true. You're very insightful, and you're very gracious in how you treat people with respect and kindness. So I love all of that. And it's you're sharing your insights. So you're just kind of like diving in, but also you're guiding them too. So how do you, I like here, I also put this down. Nobody has all the answers. So it's not about, I know this, or you know this, and you're imparting that. It's more about this exploration together.
Exactly.
And how do you go about exploring and guiding at the same time?
Well, our whole system is, there's an art of the practice, my teacher called it. So we assess, we assess where they are at any given moment. We make, our recommendations as far as best resources, best suggestions we have at that moment, given the information we have. And then the next step is you have to track what happens when they implement. When the client implements the recommendations, what happens in their body? People are quick, and I think I was quick to jump on that thing too. Like even with the COVID-19, like, okay, here, take these supplements, take these things. That doesn't work for everybody, right? So yeah, it's a process of what does that individual need, and you make that recommendation. It may not work. You won't know that unless you track and notice what's going on. So then you have to, try something else, or maybe do more of what's working. Who knows? You don't know that going into it. You have to just be there with that person along the whole thing. So yeah, it's
So, and is it more of a like an organic type of exploration, or is there like a flow chart of if not this, then this? Like I think of it like are there like logical things to look at first, or is it just sort of like a free for all?
yeah, I think we said back in the beginning that like the first thing we do is we call it tier one,
Oh,
is to she calls it clear the muddy water. So
mm,
clear the things that are standing in the way of that person's healing. And this is where you have to tread lightly, because some of those things may be long held habits that they don't want to let go of. And so
so
you start with maybe certain foods, or you start with certain beliefs, even mindsets, um, things in their relationships that they might have some way to modulate. I don't know. It just depends on the person. But clearing those things out, and then bringing in some things that'll start to like replete whatever's been deficient, even if that's not a nutrient. It might be love. It might be something in their relationships or in their movement
mm.
patterns, or whatever it is. There's a lot of things to look at and balance.
So
No easy answer.
going, what was that?
I said there's no easy, and there's no like flow chart.
There's no flow chart, but there is a pattern, right? So you're starting with tier one and clear the muddy water. So let's just start there. How about that? We'll start with there, clearing the muddy water. And what are some things that you clear for people? So I think you mentioned a few of them, but I just want to be able to list them. So sorry, we have to go backwards and you have to tell me so that I can take my little notes and put them on the screen for you.
Um,
So bad habits
Bad
or
habits. Inflammatory foods, would be one thing. A lot of times they're not drinking enough, so that would be more of a depleting. But like noticing that they aren't drinking enough water to really lubricate the system adequately for it to do what it needs to do. So that's like helping the body to clear out its waste products. Clearing inflammation could look like ultimately getting rid of gluten, refined sugar, of course. For a lot of people, it means getting rid of dairy. And that breaks my heart to say it, but I mean, these things have been shown to be inflammatory for a lot of people.
mhm.
And so sometimes they have to let go of those, at least for a period of time while their healing is happening. They may need to let go of toxic relationships.
So is that something that you get into in like your intake, or how does that come up?
Yeah, it is on the intake, in fact. And we do this whole detailed interview after I get the intake, we do this intense interview where I fill out a whole timeline of their life, and it's all going to come up. Like, people learn a lot just doing the timeline, because
Mhm.
there's things they had never thought of or they hadn't remembered in years and years and years, and how it relates to like what's going on in their present. So yeah, it's fascinating, but it does uncover a lot.
Nice, nice. I feel like, when we're talking about functional nutrition, that's definitely something that I hadn't thought of, that you're going through the timeline of your life, not just like nutrition wise. It is related to nutrition. It could be related to anything though.
Yeah.
Um, or that you're talking about people's toxicity, not just in terms of toxicity within like their bloodstream or their digestion, but their relationships. And so I think that's really that's very important to acknowledge and to see, because I mean I felt like everything is related. So it just makes sense, right? If you're kind of unhappy at home, your business will probably be a little bit unhappy. So that's kind of, I don't know, that's what I'm seeing too.
Yeah. And your
Uh,
body's going to let you know that things are amiss.
oh, okay, yes.
So, I mean, a lot of times people will notice when we're actually going like back through this timeline, like, oh, yeah, I didn't even put two and two together that this huge stress was happening in my life. And then this happened in my body, right? I mean, it's like they're so related, and yet they didn't ever put two and two together.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I love it. All right. So like tier one, clearing the muddy water, inflammation. Um, what else? What other kinds of things do you clear? Clearing toxic relationships, looking at the timeline of your life. What's a clue to somebody that they need to come in and see you, or they need to call you? Is it that relates to this tier one?
I don't know if anybody gets excited about tier one, because most people go to a health professional to get help with tier three, which is just
Oh,
fix it.
oh, the fix. Okay. Well, let's talk about it. Okay, so tier two, you're introduced. What's tier two? You're introducing, like,
What does she call it? It's repleting the deficiency. What does she call it? Deficiency to sufficiency. Deficiency.
deficiency. Okay.
So whatever is deficient in your life, now that could be nutrients. Maybe the person isn't getting enough protein or fats or fiber or water or love or sleep, or yeah, they don't have enough social support. Whatever it is, we look at all those things, and where that person is depleted, we want to bring them to sufficiency.
Okay. So people aren't just, they're just not getting enough of what they need, right?
Enough of what they need. So it's not necessarily like supplements and bottles, although it could be, but it could be a lot of other things.
And
And then tier three is dismantle the dysfunction. Yeah.
dismantle the dysfunction. And are there more tiers, or is this pretty much the tier? This is like where you go with things. Tier one.
Those are the three tiers.
Okay.
But there's a lot of different frameworks and structures to look at. There's also three roots and many branches. So
let's save that for next time. So let's talk about tier three a little bit, because you talked a little bit about tier one and tier two. Mm-hmm. And you mentioned that people usually come to you for tier 3. So that's to fix some issue that they're having.
Fix the issue. I'm having, hormone problems. I want to lose weight. I'm in pain. I've got headaches. I've got, gut problems. Whatever it is, yeah. But you don't just jump in and fix it because you don't know why. You don't know why that person has that problem.
Right.
So that's why backing it up, like we were saying, to tier 1, like what do we need to get out of what's standing in the way of this person being as well as they want to be? Because the body wants to be well, right? The systems are designed to be self-healing. So if something is standing in the way, we want to clear out as many of the obstacles as we can, and then proceed. And then in after going through all those initial steps, if the thing is still there in the end, the dysfunction, then you're going to probably be working with that person's doctor
I see.
to actually dismantle it.
Very cool. Very cool. Um, yeah, I think we've talked about a lot of different things. I like that we're going back to the basics. I know you're probably like, gosh, I wish you would just get these tier 1, 2, 3. Not everybody's seen like each of the videos too, so I want them to be kind of standalone and make sure that people are getting what they need out of each one. And um, I'm looking at this like, okay, so if somebody has a business of functional nutrition, do they need to be somebody who helps people let go of toxic relationships, or that they are people who, I mean, they get enough supplements? I mean, that seems like a really wide range.
It's not like we as functional nutrition counselors are dealing with every single thing like that. I mean, we're like part of the team. Um, they often have a doctor that's already involved, or a counselor, or whatever. So it's not like we're wearing a counselor's hat for like social work, right?
Yeah.
So we can like point them to something and say, "Have you looked at this? Have
So
you
is
thought?"
that something that you've done? Have you referred people to either a doctor or counselor or therapist or something like that?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then do they also refer to you? Do they say, okay, you know, here's what you need to do. You need to talk to Daria.
Occasionally, yes.
Yeah.
I,
Wait, what is it?
I could form more of those relationships. That would
You
probably
could use some more of those. Okay.
that would be a good business move.
Yeah, let's talk about that because, I started out with talking about the business of functional nutrition. And for me, I always look at what are your points of leverage. So, in business or in marketing, there's always something that, it's Pareto's principle, right? So, 20% of the action creates 80% of your results. So, what is that 20% of what you're doing, or 20% of your clients, or 20% of the people in your network that are producing that 80%? And oftentimes what it looks like when I talk to people is just think of your best client, and the one who like raves about you, who tells everybody, who is not afraid to let it out loud and clear. So that's usually the person or the type of person that becomes your ideal client or your client avatar, right?
Mm-hmm.
So is who not naming names, of course, but no, who is that person for you? Is that somebody who needs to lose weight, change their hormones, like all these different things that you mentioned? Um, Generally, who's that for you?
Well, to date, it's been women I have met networking
Yes.
who are also, business owners, entrepreneurs, and just women. Let's say they're more seasoned in life, and so as we get up in years, we start to have more little nagging things that just grab our attention in our body. And those things they vary. I mean, they don't necessarily even have a diagnosis slapped on them yet, but things that are annoying enough that you would like some help to figure out how to resolve them. Mm. I don't know if that's clear enough, but that's been the common thread with the people that I've most enjoyed working with.
Nice.
So they've been, they've already been rather health conscious to begin with.
Okay.
And so it's like a little bit frustrating, like, okay, I'm doing all the things. What am I not seeing here? So they want another person to like look at their situation and help them figure it out. And they're willing to do the steps. They're willing to walk with you and make some changes.
Right. I think that that's also very important. So can we talk about that? How do you determine if somebody is willing to make the changes? Is it just, part of how they reach out to you, or is it something that you evaluate later, or, how do you establish that? How do you prevent people from just coming, the tire kickers, that's what they're called in business. How do you prevent just working with tire kickers?
That's a hard question.
Maybe you don't get them. I mean, I don't know.
Well, and I have had to have a come to Jesus moment with some people.
Okay, that's good. So you have a come to Jesus moment,
but for the most part, I mean, if somebody's gonna like fill out this completely annoying intake form, I mean, it's not annoying, but it's very long and detailed, and they're gonna pay for an initial session to create the timeline and to have these action steps that they agree to, then I'm going to hold them accountable to some degree. Like, okay, so when we meet again, have you done the things we talked about? Because I will not put more on the person than they've agreed to do, and I want to keep it rather minimal because you just get overwhelmed if you're trying to make a lot of changes at once. So we try to keep it minimal, but enough to see a shift. And so if a person has done that, then great. Then we move on to the next thing. If they haven't done it, well, then I need to know why, what's holding them back. They've told me that they want this thing. They've already had to put on the intake form why this is important to them. And so in order for me to help them, they have to stay committed to their own goal because right. I can't do the work for them. Yeah.
I love it. So because when I'm looking at marketing and business, so this is kind of like the corollary, right? So when I associate things with the business side or the marketing side, it's people that come and they say they really want this kind of business, or they really want this to happen, but they're not really willing to do the actions that will lead them there. So do you ever get those people who they're willing to fill out the intake, or they're willing to tell you what's wrong, but they're not really willing to, or they don't have the discipline to get to where they need to be?
Yes. I mean, yes, obviously we have those people, and they drop off fairly soon. They're just not. We're not gonna keep hanging out if they're not gonna do the work.
Oh, see, that's why I love you. You're just so real, right? They drop off. I think that is very accurate. They drop off because if they're not willing to do the work, they're not going to get there. And you can only guide people so far. You're not injecting people with an IV and saying, "Here you go." Right? Yeah. It's
not a quick fix. It's just not.
It's what?
It's not a quick fix.
It's not a quick fix. Yeah. It is not a quick fix. This is you've got a lot of things figured out in your life, but something's holding you back, or you're frustrated about something, something's annoying you. You've been doing all the right things, right? And then you're like, okay, I've had enough of that. And you go to Daria because you're saying, enough's enough. I want to get ultimately healthy. I want to stay completely immune to COVID-19. I want to whatever it is. Okay, now you can't guarantee that, but you know, um, I feel pretty good about that. I like what we've been talking about, and I feel like I've learned some things. Anything else you want to add before we kind of wrap up? And then I know you and I will chat about what we're doing next week and all of that. But
well, I'm just on the note of COVID-19. I mean, obviously, your immune system is your main defense. Far better than a mask or whatever else you're doing. I mean, you want to do those things, but your best defense is a strong immune system. So you don't want to be doing things that are like compromising it. Otherwise, you're putting holes in your shield. So
yes,
yeah.
yes, absolutely. So this is, I mean, I feel like then this is actually a perfect time for people to start working with you. This is a time where we're focused on health. I mean, it is a health crisis, right? That health pandemic, right? We're not allowed, somebody said during the networking meeting, we're not allowed to say pandemic anymore. So I'm just saying it. I like it's finally called a global pandemic. So that's what it is. Let's be real. And I don't want people to be scared. I want people to gain knowledge and learn how to navigate in this new normal, abnormal.
Yeah. And if people have questions about their own situation, they can like shoot me a note, either on Facebook or on my website, and we can set up a little short conversation.
Yes. And I'll put your website up here again for you.
Thank you.
Daria Howell. And oh, here we go. DariaHowell.com. And so they can reach out to you either on your website or they can look you up on Facebook. And what's something that you want people to know that you haven't gotten a chance to say so far? I know we've had 4 hours worth of talking, but there must be something that you're dying to tell people.
Really?
Well,
it's not as hard as you think. Yeah, it's not hard.
It's not hard.
Once you adopt that identity as a healthy person, then the things that you have to do don't seem like sacrifice. They seem like, yeah, they're gifts. This is what I'm doing.
You're excited to do them. You're like, yeah, kale, yeah,
exactly,
yeah, broccoli. And you know,
that's what my recipe
movement.
Evolution Journal is kale.
What was that?
One of the Conscious Evolution Journal recipe has to do with kale.
Oh, see, there you go. I love kale. I was just joking about it because that's one of the ongoing jokes on Reddit about Portland is that we love our kale. So I'm like, I love my kale. So yay. So I can put that up there, Conscious Evolution Journal. Let me put it back up. And you have a recipe related to kale there. We'll be on the lookout for that. And if you have questions for Daria, please don't hesitate to contact her on her website. I'm going to put that back up, DariaHowell.com. Daria, thank you so much for being here and sharing your lovely energy and wisdom and fun. And I always love talking to you. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And for everybody out there, thank you so much for watching. And if you're watching on the replay, definitely let us know if you have questions. We would love to hear from you. Thanks, everybody. Bye.